Hi, I'm Dani Gasparini, and welcome to this segment of Penn Voice. I am joined today by Teri Chin, who is the Human Services Manager for the City of Redwood City. Teri, welcome.
Thank you very much.
We had you on the program a few years ago.
Yes.
And we're here to talk about the Fair Oaks Community Center. So why don't you give us a brief overview of the Fair Oaks Community Center, all that happens and where it is, in case somebody missed the program 3 years ago.
Sure. So the Fair Oaks Community Center is one of the community centers of the City of Redwood City. We are under our Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Division. But we are a community center that provides less recreational services and much more human and social services. Mm-hmm. So we have a fully operating older adult activity center. We have a subsidized child care center. We provide legal services. We have housing-related services. We provide emergency services. We have food programs, a variety of different things that happen, immigration and citizenship services as well as a part of our program. And it's all brought together through partnerships with different private nonprofit agencies and some public agencies.
So just in case someone's not familiar with the actual location,
yes.
I would say it's down the street from Costco.
Exactly. That's everybody knows where Costco is.
It kind of seems like...
And we are literally at the border of Redwood City and the unincorporated area of North Fair Oaks.
Right. Yeah. And the library is next door as well.
Yes, it is.
So beyond sort of this general description of what you do with human services and programs, let's talk about some of the partnerships that you really have to have in order to provide this depth and breadth of services, because you're not the experts in all of these areas. You've got to bring in the experts. So how do you forge these partnerships and who are they with?
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm going to start with the beginning of the community center. We're over 40 years, and when Fair Oaks Community Center was built, it was a partnership of the City of Redwood City and the County of San Mateo. And the idea was that we wanted to bring these kinds of programs and services into the community, that it was too hard for people to have to travel to get to other parts of
right. And you know,
our
I
county
think we should
city.
even go back further.
Yeah.
Most of the time, people don't realize, but cities have their programs, and then the county has their program in unincorporated areas. This was really sort of the first of its kind to say, it doesn't matter whether you're in the city or in the county, this is about serving people in our community.
Absolutely, and a part of the idea was that when the community center was built, even though the agreement was it'll be jointly funded, you had to have somebody run it, so the city agreed to be the one who would build it and run it. But even then, we have a handful of, well, 2 handfuls of staff that actually work for the City of Redwood City. Everybody else that makes programs and services available at Fair Oaks works for another agency, works for one of our partners. So for example, our Older Adult Activity Center program is actually operated by Peninsula Family Service, a private nonprofit agency in our community. Our subsidized child care program is run by Redwood City Child Development Program, which is its own nonprofit, whose only purpose is to run that subsidized child care program. We have immigration and citizenship services offered by the International Institute of the Bay Area, another nonprofit agency, Bay Area-wide, but one of their largest offices is the one they have here at the Fair Oaks Community Center. Legal Aid Society partners with us to make programs available. So those are just examples of partners who come in to actually provide programs and services.
So you're the infrastructure provider, and they are the actual program and service provider.
Yes, and so it's a combination. We do actually have programs that I would also like to talk about today. That is our emergency services program that we do have city staff that's involved in. But before we go into that direction, I do want to say that partnerships also include other funders that have come on board to help it make it possible for us to have the programs and services that we have as well.
So give us some examples of that.
So we've had support from what's now the Silicon Valley Community Foundation. In past years, we've had the Grove Foundation. We have, most recently, the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative approached us and said, how could we help with some kind of one-time funding for improvements at the Fair Oaks Community Center? And that's allowed us to do some improvements for our garden, for our Older Adult Activity Center, to be able to make some improvements for our child care center. So there's lots of ways that partners will come on board with us.
So real effective and innovative in the modeling that you do with regard to outside partnerships.
Yeah, back in the 70s, I think this was probably one of the first places that was really bringing together these kind of partnerships to make these programs available.
So then how do you determine need? I mean, so where do you determine what's coming? And for example, homelessness, very large part of our communities now and even growing with the housing crisis.
Yes.
So what we used to sort of envision for homeless and encampments underneath bridges is so different than today, because we have folks that have been in apartments and homes for many, many, many years and now find themselves homeless because of the housing crisis. So how do you find your partnerships and how do you determine that need is coming?
A lot of it really has to do with people who are coming seeking services. And as they seek the services, finding out, is there something that's missing? Is there a higher demand for a particular type of service? And as a result of that, that helps us to figure out where we need to be. Sometimes we're approached by another partner and they'll say, hey, we'd like to really develop a new program in a particular area, whether it be food related, transportation related. A recent example is a service for homeless called Dignity on Wheels. We were invited by Project We Hope, who was beginning to conceptualize the idea of creating a mobile shower and laundry unit for the homeless. And the idea was a mobile unit could go to encampments where it needed to be, but it could also be at social service locations or hubs where people might otherwise be seeking services, but might then be able to also get this very basic need met. So we started in the initial conversations, they were looking at how we might make this happen. And it turned out that we were probably the best situated to be their first pilot site. So we were actually the first pilot site for Dignity on Wheels almost 2 years ago in September. And Dignity on Wheels continues to be a service we have at Fair Oaks, offered on Mondays and Wednesdays in the afternoons. And it's a free service available for homeless individuals looking to be able to get a shower and do their laundry while they're doing the shower.
So how does one, so it's a population, again, without roots in a community. So how do people find out about these kinds of programs and services?
Yeah. A lot of it actually is really
Word of mouth.
Yeah. And in our community, you know, Redwood City is the largest concentration of unsheltered homeless in all of our county. And a part of it has to do with that we do have encampments in our community, but also people, whether they have an RV or a car, maybe they did recently live in an apartment, but they can't afford to do that anymore. So now they're living in their RV somewhere on the street. So that definitely is a part of the manifestation we see. But a lot of it is word of mouth. We will certainly do things like go out to fairs and make sure people are aware. We'll get word out through the schools so that families that are very low income know that there are services available. But a lot of it really is kind of through networks of people learning about what's going on.
Yeah. You had mentioned earlier that one of the things that the Fair Oaks Community Center really provides on its own is your safety net services.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit more about that. I mean, this, obviously, this shower service is part of that, but more of the safety net services.
Yeah. So we are one of 8 agencies throughout San Mateo County that are called core service agencies. We are the agency that serves Redwood City and North Fair Oaks. We also serve Woodside, Portola Valley, and Atherton if there's anyone from those communities who is also seeking the basic services. But of course, the vast majority of who we see really are folks from Redwood City and North Fair Oaks. And so we're providing very basic things, food assistance. If somebody is becoming homeless, we're able to provide services related to homelessness, and I can talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But we also provide financial assistance. If somebody has their PG&E about to be turned off, we can assist them so that they don't lose their electricity. We have financial assistance programs to help people pay rent or get a deposit to be able to move into a new place if they're being evicted from somewhere. We'll help a family if they're just in crisis and they don't know what to do. Right. So the bottom line is that we're really there to be available whenever there might be some kind of issue or crisis that occurs for an individual or family in our community and they don't quite know where to go or what to do. They come to us and we can either provide a direct service to them or we can refer them to a service that will be able to help them.
And I think that's an important message to say that, you know, a lot of times when you are in crisis, it's the last thing that you're thinking about is where do I go? Where are the resources? So if we all in mind think if we know of someone or it might be happening to ourselves, that there's sort of one place that you can go that perhaps you're not going to be the service provider, but you will then resource out or refer out to
That's exactly what we want to be as the Fair Oaks Community Center. We really do want people to realize that whether it's myself or my neighbor or my cousin, let them know, come to the Fair Oaks Community Center and we will help you. We'll help to get you connected to whatever your options might be.
And beyond that, we wanted to talk a little bit more, and you had mentioned before about homelessness.
Yes.
Some of the things that you're doing at the Fair Oaks Center.
Yeah. So I already mentioned Dignity on Wheels, so that's a particular service. And the idea of that is not only to provide the basic service of the shower and laundry, but for someone who maybe isn't really sure what they want to do, they're not really sure if they want to try to move out of their encampment, that might be a first step for them to come and seek services, and then they can get connected to either medical services or other possibilities of what they could do if at some point they're deciding, yes, I want to choose to overcome my homelessness and move back into permanent housing. Another service we have is provided by another nonprofit agency, all volunteers, St. Vincent de Paul Homeless Conference. So every day, Monday through Friday, there's a group of volunteers who's in our large multi-purpose room, and they are there to provide just basic needs, basic services. It's food, it's shower vouchers. Now for the Dignity on Wheels, they don't actually need to pay, but the city also helps to provide showers on a couple other days a week, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, at our Hoover Pool facility. It's not open to the public at that time. So during that time period, individuals can come and take showers there. Someone can pay for a shower, or they can get a voucher from St. Vincent de Paul to go to get a shower. So they will provide people with toiletries. They'll provide a sleeping bag during the course of the winter. They provide winter coats. So lots of different things for folks who are just looking for a basic way to kind of stay above board and be able to survive.
Right.
So that's another piece of what we do. On Sundays, there's another group of volunteers in this case, of churches. They do a program called Sandwiches on Sundays. So St. Anthony's Church, which is down the street in Menlo Park, they serve lunch every day, Monday through Saturday. But they don't serve on Sundays because it's the day for church. And so many years ago, this group of volunteers decided, well, people still need to eat on Sunday. Yep. So they created the program at the Fair Oaks Community Center. So our backyard is the dining room on Sunday for people to come if they need food.
I think at the end of the day, Teri, what we're telling our viewers is if we know of anyone in need, or one just seeking program services and recreation, they just need to come down to the Fair Oaks Community Center, and somebody will guide them to the place that they need to be.
Yes, and as a part of our safety net program, we're the ones who actually will refer people into our homeless shelter system if that is what they're looking for.
Great.
And so it's an important part of what we do in terms of helping people to take a next step as well.
Well, wonderful. Thank you so much for enlightening us and teaching us all about what's happening at the Fair Oaks Community Center. And we hope to have you back before the next 3 years to tell us about all of the other things that are happening too at the center. We want to thank all of you for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Penn Voice.